guys, it's Jen and I'm back with another Out of the Pocket video. This is a series where I show you how to take your pocket or project life cards and use them on scrapbook layouts. So today I am going to be scrapbooking these 3 photos. They all say today or never, and it's something that my daughter put up all around the house to remind me to eat some Tams that were going to expire. And on the day they expired, she put up all of these notes, today or never. She really wanted some, and I told her she couldn't have any until I opened them. And so she was really anxious for me to open them. So I'm going to tell that story today. I'm going to start with one of these clear cards, and this comes in a Project Life mini kit from Heidi Swap. And there are a few Project Life kits that come with clear cards, so that's what I'm going to focus on today, but you could definitely incorporate some of these ideas with regular cards as well. I am going to create with this, so I started this page with the idea and the knowledge that I wanted to create a pocket with one of these clear cards. And so what I'm going to do is fill a pocket with sequins and different things on the layout. And so I haven't exactly decided how I want to lay things out yet, but I have pulled a few cards in color schemes that I know that I want to use. And I'm going to start with a white background, and then I'm going to place it on top. I'm going to mount it on this paper, which is from Bo Bunny. It's from 2010, and it's called Hooligans. It's a Halloween paper, but I'm going to use the red side. And I'm just going to mount my whole background on that paper. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of get the layout started of my page and decide what cards I want to use before I glue anything down. So I'll do that really quick and then come back and show you what I've decided. Okay, so I've got a rough outline of what I'd like to do. I've decided to just incorporate 2 of the photos. This one isn't very clear on what it says. It's on a chalkboard and it's kind of hard to read, so I'm just going to exclude that one and use these 2. What I started with was overlapping these 2 cards, and I'm going to, like I said, I want to stitch this one down and fill it with stuff, so this will be peeking through underneath. And then I decided to just layer up another little card that I can put some journaling on. I cut this, I knew I wanted to incorporate a little bit more red, so I cut this word seriously out of another 3x4 card. So they come kind of like this, and I think it's really cute to cut the pieces out. I'm more likely to use them as cutouts, so I might end up doing that to a lot of these different pieces. But so I'll probably lay that somewhere down here toward the bottom. So what I'm going to do is get this card stuck down, and then I'm going to stitch this card down along 2 sides, and I'll come back and show you how I'm going to fill it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stitched this down. Let me see if I can give you a little bit of a closer look. Just with my sewing machine. If you didn't have a sewing machine, you could definitely hand stitch this, or you could glue it. You would probably see the edges of the glue, but you could make it work for you. And now what I'm going to do is fill up this pocket. And so you can notice also that I decided to stitch this down before adhering it to the red background paper. I just thought that would be easier. So I'm just going to adhere it after I stitch it down. So I found these little chipboard pieces that came in the Project Life value kit that came with the clear cards, and I thought the clock was very appropriate because she was just counting down the minutes until she could eat those Tams and then enjoy, just to bring in another little pop of red. So I'm going to stick those in there. And then I just have this little box of, this is where I keep my sequins. I don't have a ton of sequins and I don't have a ton of different colors, but I'm just going to go through and pick out a few that I think will work. I think I'll do some gold because I've got gold right here, and then some white. I want to keep it kind of light, and then maybe some white stars. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those in. And what I'm going to do is just grab a little pinch and just kind of toss them in. I'm going to stick these in as well, and I'm going to kind of intentionally place the red one. I don't know how much you'll actually see these, but I do want that clock to be down in this corner so you definitely see it. So I'm just going to use my little poker tool to kind of get it down there. It's okay if it's not perfect. And then this will likely get covered by the photos, but it's okay. So I'm going to put some more gold in there. I don't think I want to put the large gold sequins in there. I think I'll just put a few more small ones. And then I'm going to put some white. And these are kind of iridescent. I don't know how much I actually love the fact that they're iridescent, but they're already in there and they're going to stay there. And then I'm going to grab some stars, and I'm going to just pick out the ones that are a little bit purple and not use those. But I'll use the ones that are kind of yellow and gold and white. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the rest of the pocket up. Just as an FYI, these little cards have a protective backing on it, so I did peel that off first. So I'll go ahead and get that stitched up and then come back and finish the layout. Okay, so I finished stitching that down, and as I finished stitching it, I kind of realizing that I want it a little bit more on show. So originally I had planned to put these pictures up here, but now I am really rethinking that. I think I want to put my photos down here so that I can really put this pocket on display. So what I want to do is mount these photos because they're getting lost a little bit on this card. And so what I'm going to do is just use this 3x4 card. This is from a Me and My Big Ideas kit. And I'm just going to give the photos a really thin mat. And I'm going to cut them down just a teeny bit so that I can mount them both on the same piece of that paper there. So I'm just cutting off 1/4 of an inch on either side. So they're going to be slightly smaller than 3x3. And I realize that some people won't like to have photos this small. It doesn't bother me. I'm using a couple of photos to tell the story, and it doesn't bother me to have them this small. But if it does bother you, obviously you can make your photos as large as you'd like. So I'm just going to, I've got two options here. I think I like this option better. So like I said, I'm just going to do a really thin white border. Oops. I'll just put it on either edge. It makes it easier for me when trimming them, and it's easier to line up when you use a corner like that. So I've got my photos mounted, and I'm purposely putting the more black one on the brown card because this one's more brown. It just feels like it blends too much. So I'm purposely putting them like that. And then I have this word seriously that I cut out, so I think that it will fit nicely down here towards the bottom. It's going to create a home for either my title or my journaling up here. So I pulled a few different cards thinking that I might use them to incorporate some more colors. Especially was thinking of this typewriter card, which I think fits nicely right here. And that might be where I include my journaling. I like that. So I think I'm going to do that with my journaling. I'm going to go and find some letter stickers for my title, which I think will live nicely across the top here. And then find a few more things to bring in that color of that aqua. This I cut from a 3x4 card from a paper by Echo Park, I believe, from Allison Kreft. And so I just cut this out of a 3x4 card. And I will be sure, I'm using a bunch of different kits here. I'll be sure to link them all below. This is from the Notes and Things mini kit, or whatever they call them, value kit. And then this is from the clear value kit. So let me go ahead and get that stuff stuck down, find something for my title, and I'll come back and show you how I'm going to finish this off. Okay, so as I was putting this together, I was thinking that there was a lot of red going on now. And red for me, I usually like it to just be a pop. So when I started creating this layout, I didn't realize that. But I think I'm going to switch out this background paper. I found this other paper from American Crafts. It's super old as well, from 2011, from their Chap line. And it kind of has the same colors of some of the items that I'm going to include, and I love a diagonal stripe for a border, and so I think I'm going to use that instead. It's a little bit softer and it just really lets what's in the center pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and take off that branding strip. Now this is back when the branding strips were still perforated and you could just tear them off. So I think I'm going to use that for my background. And I went ahead and typed my journaling on this typewriter thing, and I wish I would have started a little bit higher, but I didn't. So I might find a sticker or something that can go right here. And I just, in order to send this through the typewriter, I just adhered it lightly to another piece of paper. And so now I have this to kind of go right here. And I pulled out these stickers for my title. I like that they're tall and thin. And they are from Amy Tangerine. They're called Afterglow. And I think I'm going to have my title just be For the Love of Tim Tams. And so I'm going to do the word Tim Tams in these letter stickers. And then I will get a smaller font for the rest of the kind of... it's not really a subtitle, but for the smaller part of the title. When I'm doing titling, I often like to mix a large, like have a focal word or words be larger and then have the words leading up to it or the words after it in a smaller font. So I'm going to do that. And the way I like to put down my titles is to use a little bit of wax paper. That way I can move the title around. I'm just grabbing some scraps here off of my desk. I can move the title around as I'm thinking about where exactly I'd like it to go. So as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I've really centered this and I need something more across the bottom. So I'm just keeping that in mind as I'm placing down my title on this wax paper, is the fact that I'll need to, in order to make up for the weight of the title on the top, I'm going to need to put some more stuff on the bottom. So I'll just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've gone ahead and decided to stitch down the background paper just so that I could bring in some more of that stitching somewhere. And what I like to do sometimes to just give another element of dimension and texture is just kind of run my finger along the outside edge of the paper after I stitch it down and kind of rough it up. I've gotten paper cuts this way, so if you want to be more careful, I've seen other people use like their Cricut cutting tool to kind of lift things up like that. I just like being able to scratch the edge with my fingernail because it gives it just a little bit of roughness without being too much. So to each his own, but user beware, I guess. So I wanted to point out what I decided. So originally when I had laid out the layout at the beginning, I put this card right here and I had forgotten about that. So I found that card and I decided I did want to use that card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up this little star. And so by doing that, I have to move my photos down lower than they were on this card to start with, which is fine, I think. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, is go ahead and get that laid down. And I'm just overlapping it slightly onto this card, not too much. And then I will, again, I'm going to put the more brown photo to this side. So I'm just covering up the lines and the star here because I already have a different place for my journaling. So I don't need that card for journaling. And then I'll just kind of space them apart a little bit like that. Okay, so now let's see, where is my Sometimes you move things around and everything gets lost. Oh, here we go. So here's my journaling, which I wanted to stick right here. And go ahead and get that stuck down. And now I have a little bit of a gap here, and I thought maybe that this word seriously could kind of just tuck in right there, and I like the way that looks. So now I do have my title, which I haven't put down yet, but I might just overlap it slightly onto the card so that it brings it down just a little bit. And then I have For the Love Of right here. And then right here, I found these stickers from Amy Tangerine, and they're kind of a clear sticker. And I thought either one of these would work. I have one that says Now or Never, which I thought would be, it's kind of a play on the Today or Never, or write this down. So the Now or Never is gray, which I don't have a lot of on the page, but there is some in this outline. And so I thought I would try that one. It's a little bit too long for my liking. I think I want it to either be, shorter. And maybe what I'll do is trim off a little on the bottom too, so it doesn't look like the letters are super close on the sides, but not on the top and bottom. So I'm just trimming off a little bit of that. And I can stick that right there. Okay, so now that says Now or Never. My other option was write this down, but I think I like the Now or Never better. So I think I'm going to move this down just slightly because I want this to go a little bit lower. And then I can get my word, the word seriously, stuck down as well. And there's a little bit more breathing room for that word now. So I like the way that this Y kind of fits in between those photos, and it kind of pulls them together since it overlaps both of them. So what I'm going to do with this, there is a protective backing on it. So I'm going to peel that off, and then to stick it down, I could use my tiny attacher, my stapler, but it'd be a little bit tricky because it's on this card. I could lift everything up and then just staple it from there. So I think what I'll do is I will just put a little bit of adhesive right behind the letters so that you can't see it. And I'm going to use my multi-matte medium because it has a matte finish. Just squishing out a few more little dots here. You don't need a ton. Let me put one at the top of the L. And hopefully that will hold it down. I'm just going to hold it in place for a second. Now, while this is drying, I'm still thinking about something else I can add to the bottom here, because I do still feel like, even though I moved everything down, that I just need a little bit something extra down here. So I might pull out my washi tape and see if I can layer some of that up a little bit, and then I will come right back. Okay, so I pulled out a myriad of washi tapes. I've also gone ahead and stuck down my title, and I found this little chipboard piece that came from this same clear Heidi Swap value kit, and it says This Is, so now the title reads This Is for the Love of Tim Tams. And if I can remember where these washi tapes came from, I will definitely link to them, and I apologize if I can't, but you can use any washi tapes obviously that you have. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try this, is just layer up some different colors right here, and I'm going to rip them in an interesting way. So I'm trying to decide where I want to go. So this has a little bit more of a greeny color, and then these are both a little bit more bluish, so I thought that might be nice to bring in. So let's start with that one. And what I'm going to do, I stole this idea from Missy Whitten here on YouTube. I'll link to her channel below. And she rips her washi tape on the roll, and I'm struggling to just give it an interesting look. I'll rip off the part that looks hideous. And a lot of these are chevron kind of styles, and so I'm going to try to switch that up a little bit. So I believe the one that I'm using right now is from We Are Memory Keepers. And it's kind of that, it's a little bit more orange than the red that I have, but I think it will work. And I am going to, again, try to rip this in an interesting way. Okay, I only got a little bit off, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to just sort of tuck them up and under here and layer them up until I get a look that I like. And I want to make sure that when I'm layering them, there's no white space between the different colors. So let me try this black. So I've got some heavy black up here. This is really heavy as well, but I'm going to try and see what bringing in this black stripe will do for me. So again, just ripping that so it gives it a little bit more of an interesting look. I'm going to try running that right under here. I'm liking the way this is looking, so I need at least one more that can maybe span that entire length. And I don't know if I want to go back to the green or if I want to try this teal with the red. This is from Scotch. I do like the way that it brings in that orangey color. That obviously was too small of a piece. I'll try again. So just kind of pulling at it at different angles to get that look. So now I can tuck this one up and under as well. And I'm going to lift this one up so that I can tuck it under here. So if I would have thought about it ahead of time, I would have known, but I didn't, and that's okay. Okay, so I really like the way that that looks. I think I might do just a little tiny shot of that up here at the top. Let's see what it looks like, just so that I can have it in more than one area. Okay, I kind of like that. So now what I'm going to do for finishing touches, I think I'm going to find some enamel dots, or maybe I might pull in some more sequins. I don't know if I want to keep them completely contained within that pocket or if I want to sprinkle some around. But I do want to find something as kind of a finishing touch to dot around, and then that will complete the layout. Okay, so out on my messy desk, I have pulled a bunch of things that I thought I could incorporate. First of all, I was thinking that the photos needed a little something drawing your attention to them. And so I wanted to put something to the side of this card here to just kind of bring your eye right there a little bit more. And so I was thinking that so this is the branding strip from this chap paper, and it kind of matches really well. It brings the greenish tone of this aqua and the bluish tone of this aqua together to me. And so I was thinking I would just add a little shot of that here. And so I'm going to adhere that. Oops. I like dot adhesive because it's easy to rub off if you accidentally put it where you don't want it. Okay, and then I was going to put a little bit up here so that I could bring that color in more than one area. Just a little hint of it right there. And then I'm toying with the idea of placing one of these little red flags here, and I don't know if I love that, but I did want to bring in the black arrows. So now I have like 3 really heavy areas of black. Yes. So this is a puffy sticker from Evalicious. I have previously taken the sticky off the back, so I'm just going to adhere it with my regular adhesive. And then I pulled out these Studio Calico, I think they're from Studio Calico. They're little gold circles, chipboard circles. And I thought they might be fun to incorporate. There was one with a clock, and I thought I would reintroduce the clock since it's kind of hard to see on the layout. If you shake it around, you might be able to see it. And then maybe adding in a few of these in different areas. They're kind of really heavy, so I'm still undecided. I could bring in like this little heart here with the love. I kind of like that. And then I did pull some enamel dots kind of in that reddish color. I only have really large ones, and so I was thinking I could put one in each area of embellishment. I'm just not loving that either. So sometimes it's hard to really get exactly what you want. So I have one smaller one. This was in March, so I'm thinking of just sticking that next to where it says March. I think that these circles are just a little too much, so I'm not going to use those. And I don't know that I'm going to use these either. I don't need red up here. I feel like I need one more color that can tie it all together. So sometimes that is a little bit of an issue. I could bring in the gold. I think that's what I might have to just do, some gold color shine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some gold Heidi Swap color shine, just little droplets, and then I'm going to see if I'm satisfied after that. And if I am, then this will be done. So I'm just kind of placing it in the areas where there's embellishment, and just kind of however I want. Sometimes I put a little, sometimes I put a lot. And I do want to overlap the cards so that it looks like it's more intentional, or like everything really belongs together. Okay, so I think as a final touch, I'll just add my date, and I'm just going to add it below right here to just kind of give it a little something of interest on that side. I'm using my Chamel roller date stamp and some archival black ink from Close to My Heart. I like the Chamel date stamp because the month and the year are next to each other, and that's because people outside of America, I don't know who all does this, but they put the day first, then the month, then the year, rather than the month, day, then year. And so I like this because the month and the year are close together, and when I want to do just the month and the year, this is really convenient because I often just do the month and the year. So that will complete it.